How to create the most ideal setup for drawing on TikTok Live. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, I'm a 22-year-old charcoal and graphite artist that specializes in hyperrealism with a little bit of surrealism. And I go live every single weeknight over on TikTok, working on my current piece. And while I am live, a lot of you ask how I have things set up. So that's what we're gonna go over today. Everything that I use to have a TikTok Live setup that is practical, very engaging with your community, stress-free, super easy to set up, cheap, has a face cam, but also prioritizes your art. The list goes on. So let's waste no time at all. Let's run through the equipment you're gonna need and then how to set it all up. Ready? Let's begin. To begin, you obviously want your drawing on a desk with your tools in arm's reach. Preferably this desk is adjustable, meaning that it can move up and down or anywhere you need it to, depending on where you're working on the drawing. However, these types of drafting tables are really expensive, so if you don't have one, that's okay. Next, you obviously need a device that has TikTok on it. However, I recommend having two different devices that have TikTok on it, and I'll explain later why. For me, I have my iPhone and then an iPad. Next, you need a handheld mirror. Any handheld mirror that resembles this one will work perfectly, and they're also really cheap, so if you don't have one, I got this one at Walmart for $10, I think. Next, preferably you have 3 different mounts for those 3 items. Here's the mount I use for my iPhone, here's the mount I use for the handheld mirror, and then here's the mount that I use for my iPad. Now I use these mounts to attach and float these devices all around me to make it a lot easier. So if you don't have any mounts, but you're still able to prop up your iPad, your phone, and your mirror, that's perfectly fine. I just find it a lot easier to have designated mounts for these devices. Next, you want good lighting. I use these 2 really big studio lights that are pretty expensive, so don't think you need to have these really nice ones. Any type of lamp or overhead lighting will work. Now I do have 2 of them, one pointing on my drawing and one pointing towards my face, because really those are the 2 things that people are looking at. But for over a year, I streamed with just one light source and it worked perfectly fine. The last thing you're probably gonna want is one last device. It can be another phone, an iPad, a computer, any sort of device that you can look at pictures on and play music. I use my MacBook Pro, and that's it. That's everything an artist needs to have a very professional, good-looking setup for TikTok Live. Now let's go more in depth with each item, where it goes and what it does. As you can see here with my current setup, I have my desk here on the right with the drawing. I have it adjusted so that I can draw standing up. However, once we get towards the bottom, I'll move it down so that I can work while sitting. And then right off to the left, I have all my tools. I can't stress enough how important it is to have all your tools within arm's reach, because the one thing we really want to avoid on TikTok Live is leaving the camera. People want to see you at all times. They want to see your reaction to messages. They want to see you talking. And when you're drawing, you rotate through tools a lot. So if you have to leave and come back over and over and over again, it's going to make some people swipe away. Now, the first mount that you're going to use, the main one, will be positioned off to the left of the drawing. And it's going to be hung over top right around here. It's going to hold your phone. Your phone is going to be the device that is streaming TikTok. This is the most important device and the most important mount. You want to make sure it's positioned looking down to the drawing and off to the left, unless you are a lefty. If you're lefty, you would want this whole setup to be inverted. Now what that does is that it lets the viewer see what I'm drawing. My hand will not get in the way at that angle, which I found is really important because people want to see what you're drawing at that exact moment. They don't want to just see a hand going up and down, and then when you move your hand away, they can finally see. The whole point of streaming is for people to see you drawing in real time. Also, if you're drawing with charcoal or graphite, there's going to be glare. You know that dealing with glare is a pain in the butt. However, when it's up at this angle, you avoid any shine. Again, it doesn't have to be an iPhone, it could be a tablet, whatever device you have, but your main device that is streaming TikTok should be up and to the left, looking over your shoulder as if the audience is peeking in on you drawing. Also, what I learned from experience, make sure the device is fully charged, or you can have it plugged in like so, because it drains the battery very quickly. However, like I said, you don't need a mount if you have another way of propping your phone up over your shoulder so that the viewer can see. Now the second mount is the smaller mount that goes off to the side somewhere. I like to put mine over on the left side as well, but sometimes I do switch it over to the right. Now this mount is for holding your other device that has TikTok. In my case, it's my iPad. Now the reason we want another device that has TikTok is so that we can read chat in real time. You're probably wondering, how can we see the screen if the camera is behind us? Which was my biggest problem for the longest time when streaming on TikTok. In order for people to see my art, I had to put the camera farther back. However, to interact with chat, I had to have the camera closer. I couldn't have both at the same time. Now, if you're fine with not being able to see chat or interact with them, you can just skip this step entirely. However, I promise you, interacting with your chat and responding to questions, comments, donations, etc. is the #1 way to gain a following while live. So what I'll do is I'll sign into a different TikTok account on my iPad, pull up my own stream, and then that way I can see the chat. Not a necessary step, but I highly recommend you have some way to engage with your audience. The last mount is the mount that is going to hold our mirror. So let me just screw this in real quick. So you want the last mount to be directly above your drawing. And then here is the handheld mirror that I use. Again, I got this at Walmart for I think $10, maybe even less. And what you do is you simply put it in the mount, and then what you do is you pull it down just over your drawing, facing down towards the direction of your camera, like that. Now what that does is that gives us a cheap, high definition face cam that requires no extra software. You might see other people having face cams that use another device, which if you know how to do that, go ahead and do that. However, the only way to set up that type of split screen is if you have the TikTok Live Studio software, and that is only available to people that have Windows and a PC. I do not have Windows nor a PC, I just have a MacBook, so I don't have access to making that split screen. So this is my alternative. You can move it around, adjust it as need be. If you can prop a mirror up at this angle without using a mount, that's great, do that. Again, just from personal experience, having these 3 mounts is easiest and most convenient for me. And there you have it, those are the 3 mounts that I use for my TikTok lives. However, there's still one device left, which is the MacBook. Now what I do with my MacBook is I'll sit it over near the end of my tools, and I use this for 2 things. I use it for music, and I use it for looking at my reference. Now from my experience, it's really important to have background music during your TikTok lives. That way when you're really focused and in the zone and not talking as much, the people still have something to engage with. And we can't have music playing from the iPhone or the iPad because they're both using TikTok Live. So this is the last resort. I have my stream playlist right here that I'll just click shuffle, and I'll swipe over to the reference of the section that I'm currently working on. Now, I know some people print out their references, and if that's the case for you, don't worry about this. And if you don't care about music either, you can just get rid of this step entirely. But yeah, these are things that you don't want to forget about. And I'll place it over here near my tools because I'm always turning, grabbing different tools, looking this way because both the camera and the iPad are over here. So I think it's best if it were on this side. If I put it on my right side, I would always be straining my neck. And then lastly, we just have the 2 big studio lights coming in from both angles. As long as you just have a nice light source, you're gonna be good. These lights are definitely overkill. If you're gonna position one of the lights to be facing you, make sure it is the light that is opposite of the camera. If I were to take that one and put it right there, and then this one back out here, the main light source for the live stream would be taken away and it would be way too dim. And there you have it, my super simple setup as an artist on TikTok Live. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope you found it useful. Let me know down in the comments what you would like to see next. Head over to my Instagram and my TikTok to see content daily. Also to tune into some live streams. If you'd like exclusive content and one-on-one feedback for your artwork, head over to my Patreon. If you'd like limited edition prints, you can head over to my website. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. And if you'd like to see the next video. I appreciate you being here and hopefully we see you soon.